it's Candace. I hope you're having a sunny day wherever you are. I'm going to make 3 white cards today. 2 will have embellishments and 1 will be plain. White cards are beautiful in their simplicity and sophistication. I make a lot of them. Let me show you 2 that I've already done. The words aren't white, but all else is. So I'm going to make versions of these for you. This one, a hello card, has a pretty branch in the background, and the second one has hearts and a love sentiment on it. Let me show you the materials you will need to make these cards. There's no stamping today. The first thing you'll need is the stitched circle dies from Simon Says Stamps. You'll need the second largest die in the set for all of the cards, but you'll need the largest die for just one of the cards. The dies I used are the Tomei branch die and the Heart Sprinkle Sash die. That's a little hard for me to say, as well as the Hampstead stem. They're all by Poppy Stamps. Now, the last 2 aren't available any longer, but it will be easy for you to modify these cards by substituting other dies. There's such a large selection. The next thing you'll need are the word dies. I used the thanks and the hello from the little yellow bicycle, and the hugs die is from Long Fawn. The cardstock is from Neenah. The 100-pound card weight base is 8.5 by 5.5 inches, scored and folded at 4.25 inches. The panel is 80-pound weight and is 5.25 by 4 inches. You'll also use some fun foam for one of the cards. I made it a tiny bit smaller than the panel, and I may have to cut it some more. And you'll also need some foam mounting tape for another card. You'll also need some clear acrylic sheets. I cut mine into 3.25 inch squares. Of course, you'll need some embossing powder and a heat gun and a die cutting machine and glue. You'll need some glue. Here's my big shot. I keep tape for the dies atop it and use it over and over. You may have noticed from other videos that rather than using 2 acrylic plates, I use the Precision base plate. It never warps, and I get to use the acrylic plates for just the top. Even though the one I'm going to use says the bottom, I just use it for the top. I'm speeding this part up. I'm using 80-pound cardstock for the die cuts. I already have 2 of the cutouts for each of the words, and I've glued them together, so I just need to cut out the third of each of the words. I'm cutting out the branch, and we'll use just one of these. I'll cut out the 2 heart sashes and 3 Hampstead stems off camera. I'm speeding up this section of the video as well because it took me several minutes to adhere the layers. When I do voiceovers, I usually speed up several sections of the videos. So now I want to put the third layer on each of the words. I'll start with the thanks. What I have here is scrap computer paper. Instead of throwing these out, I save it and use it when I'm gluing. Then I don't feel any sense of guilt when I throw it out. Gluing the word layers takes a little bit of time, but the layers have a big impact on the cards, and it's well worth that time. The next thing you want to do is emboss the words. I put each word on the embossing pad and press down. I add gold embossing powder to the hello. You know the drill. Turn on the heat gun and wait 30 seconds before bringing it over to the die. I added embossing powder to each word twice because that gave them a smoother finish. I used gold embossing powder for both the hello and the hugs, but the thanks was done in silver powder just for something different to do. Now it's time to cut out the circles on the panel. I'm going to put those circles away for future use. I'll just show one being cut out, but I did it 3 times. The next thing you need to cut out is the foam sheet. I put the sheet over one of the panels, and if you look closely, you can see the empty circle on the panel, and that shows me where to place the largest of the dies on the foam sheet. I adhere it in place to prevent movement. I've already cut out my dies that will go in the circles. Here I have the leaves. I already glued 2 of them together and just have 1 more to add to the top. This time I'm using the mat to protect the glass surface. When I film the videos, I stand at my counter, but for me, I find it harder. I usually stamp, color, and glue at my desk that's behind me. Here's a tome branch. I only cut this out once. Actually, I cut it out several times, but found it difficult to glue sets of them together. I like to use tape when I can. It's economical and no one will see it. I'm adding the tome branch to the front of the panel. The acrylic sheet will keep it in position and keep it from sinking down into the card base. I don't want the bottom of the branch showing, so I will slip it inside the space. I'm using my Zig pen. If you don't have one, buy one. It will last for a long time and you can get very small dots of glue on your project. Here we go. Wish me luck. There we go. That looks good. I need to cut down the foam just a little so it won't show on the front. I'm careful with the glue near the edges of the circle. Edges. Circles don't have edges. Near to the circumference of the circle. I'll take my card base and add the top layer. That looks great. This one can be the thanks card. I'm using my Zig glue pen again. It was one of my first glue purchases after I moved away from glue sticks. Yes, that's how long I've been making cards. I've decided to add some sequins to this card, even though it looks beautiful just as it is. I'm using my jewel picker to attach the sequins. It's the least expensive tool I have for adding embellishments, but the best one I found. And here's the first completed card. I'll set this aside for the glue to dry and move on to the next one. The next die cuts I'm going to use are the Star Sprinkle Sash. I'm going to use 2 of these. I'm putting my top panel on the card base, and with a pencil, I'm lightly tracing the circle onto the base. That way, I'll know where to position the hearts. Using my Nuvo glue, I adhere the hearts to the base. Then I carefully erase my pencil lines. And then I'm just going to put my panel atop it. This card gets the hug sentiment, and I'll put this one over the bottom of the circle. I'll put an acrylic block on top of it until it's dry. My last card is the Hampstead branch. I've already cut out 3 of them and adhered them together for a richer look. I decide to put the stem on the inside, but I have a little trouble with it. My solution was to turn around the panel and glue the stem that way. Now I use the mounting tape to raise the panel from the base. I add some to the middle to keep it firm, and I add small pieces to the leaves as well. I could have used the fun foam rather than the mounting tape and added a few pieces of the foam on the leaves too, but I didn't think of it. It would have been more economical, so I wish I thought of that earlier. Now it's just a matter of adding the panel to the base. This card gets the hello greeting. For the embellishments, I found some tiny vanilla flowers. They were in my stash, and I scattered them over the front of the card. If you're like me, you've picked up many embellishments over the years. A little goes a long way, and so they last a long time. You could choose little gold dots or pearls or Nuvo drops, or even leave it blank. The choice is really yours to make. Here are the completed cards. Each one is beautiful. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Thanks for watching. See you again.